I've heard a lot about this system being adopted as a result of a vestige of slavery. I have no reason to doubt that. I'm not proud of that. That's the way it started. But it is what it is. However, ladies and gentlemen, that was 138 years ago. We'd have two constitutional conventions since then, one in 1974, that have not changed the concept of unanimous versus non-unanimous. They have left it alone. Let me tell you a very brief story, and that is when I was 13 years old, my daddy made me watch the Kennedy-Nixon debates about little islands called Quemoy and Matsu. And while I was sitting there watching them, and I was 13, I said, "Daddy, what's a conservative?" He said, "Well, son, the best way I can, if my daddy was a plumber, he said, the best way I can define that is a conservative is a person who, when he gets ready to change something, he looks at what he's getting ready to change to make sure it is better than what he's got already." So I would suggest to you that is the issue that we're here about today, not about the way something started 138 years ago. Some of you are old enough in this committee and in this room to have driven Volkswagens when we were in college. I did. Would we not have driven Volkswagens when we realized that they were ordered, designed, and manufactured by Adolf Hitler? I don't think so. Volkswagen was a pretty decent car. The concept has worked. Since the 1974 Constitution, we've had about 30,000 jury trials in Louisiana, about 743 per year. Of those 30,000 in which juries determine sufficiency of evidence, 12 of those cases at most have been reversed by the appellate courts in Louisiana for lack of sufficiency of evidence. 12 out of 30,000. Ladies and gentlemen, 9 out of those 12 were the result of unanimous verdicts. 9 out of 12. So where is any empirical data to the contrary? Where is any empirical data that 10 out of 12 does not work? And let me tell you, I don't do things simply because everybody else does it. But let me tell you, England, for example, Ireland and Australia, they start off with unanimous, but after a time you can go to 11-1 or 10-2. Scotland, Belgium, Brazil, Switzerland, a simple majority of 15. Denmark, a majority of judges, 8 out of 12 jurors. I am suggesting that whenever you get ready to punch that red or green button, whether it be in this committee or on the House or the floor, ask yourselves this question. I want to punch the green button requiring unanimous jury verdicts because. Why? Because it started with slavery, or because it's the best thing to do for the judicial system? If the governor had the authority and walked into this room right now and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot move any bill here today favorable, or you cannot defer, or you cannot move a bill unfavorable unless you are unanimous." Ladies and gentlemen, our laws of Louisiana would look like pamphlets rather than large digests, because nothing would happen. One person on a jury can mess up a whole process. And that is a fact. That is reality. So please, whenever you get ready to vote, whether it be here or on the House floor, ask yourselves, I am voting for this bill because. Thank you. I'm going to yield to Mr. Burkett.
Excellent.
Did you guys fill out cards wishing to speak?
I did. I filled it out under House Bill 354, Mr. Chairman. I thought that was the bill we were discussing. It may be.
Won't you fill out a new one after you speak, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
But
3 minutes.
Mr. Neeson was, I think, going to go.
Go, you can go ahead.
Well, you need to. Who wants to go first?
I will.
Okay, go ahead.
My name is Don Burkett. I'm District Attorney of 11th Judicial District, which is Sabine Parish. I've been since 1985. I talk to you from courtroom experience, not platitudes. I've tried hundreds of jury trials in my 33 plus years as district attorney. I know how difficult it is to get unanimous verdicts. First of all, I'm going to address the white elephant in the room straight up. I know that this bill, there's a lot of talk about the racist element of it. Up front, I'm not a racist. I deplore racism. I've been against racism my entire life. I may be the only district attorney in Louisiana that put a white man on death row for killing an African American, and he's still there. As I said when I was speaking about the death penalty cases the other day, I prosecute criminals. I don't prosecute races. They come in all flavors, criminals. But when we pick a jury, what I'm looking for is 12 people who will follow the law, because that's the oath they take, and apply the law to the facts as they find them. Juries don't represent groups of people. That's what you as legislators do. Jurors are picked because after going through voir dire, hopefully they will apply the law to the facts. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. People get on juries with agendas, and it cuts both ways. In recent events on a national level, you see where, and I'm not getting into the politics of it, but where search warrants were served on someone's lawyer, you have ultra-conservative people who have a deep distrust of government. And it's getting tougher and tougher to weed those people out who get on a jury and have an agenda. Human nature being what it is, and over the 34 years I've served, I've seen it become increasingly difficult to be able to select a jury and get 12 people to vote. I mean, out of the hundreds of cases I've tried, probably at least 40% of them have been non-unanimous verdicts. I tried a murder case last fall. It was as open and shut as any murder case could have been. There was 11-to-1 vote. 11-to-1 vote. One person, for reasons unknown, didn't want to vote guilty. That would have been a mistrial, and I'd be retrying that case if we had a unanimous requirement. And I ask you to think about it. Please do not confuse unanimity with beyond a reasonable doubt. The law says we prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. I suggest to you, because one person gets on a jury with a hidden agenda and won't vote guilty, doesn't mean that it wasn't proven beyond a reasonable doubt. I know there's been a lot said in the newspapers about the district attorneys not officially taking a position on this, but I'm here to tell you, you can ask these other two gentlemen, overwhelmingly, the district attorneys are opposed to this bill.
Okay.
So I ask you, consider what you're doing before you cast a vote to pass this bill.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Neeson, you waive? Okay, gentlemen, if y'all could yield the table to
Chairman, may I have 15 seconds?
15 seconds.
One more thing I need to say. We have a statute that says armed robbers are not eligible for probation. In 2012, a federal judge in Baton Rouge said some of them are. No matter what we put in this bill, we run the risk that a federal judge will say, no matter what you put in this bill, it controls a liberty interest in the Constitution, therefore it is retroactive.
Yes,
That
sir.
would open up a bad door. Thank you.
Representative James, 5 seconds.
Mr. DeRosier, I am so utterly offended for you to start your comments and say, I know that this was rooted in slavery, but it is what it is. And I needed you to hear that from me. And I wish you would look at me while I'm speaking with you, because I think I deserve that kind of respect after you just disrespected me on this committee. You are elected to represent everybody, and to admit that it started in slavery and say it is what it is, I hope the people of your parish are listening. And if they aren't, I'm going to make sure that they know what you said today. I am utterly offended. And for you not to even look at me in my face,
Mr. James,
this is a problem.
I'm truly
No,
sorry
Mr.
that you
DeRosier.
I don't need your apology.
Hold up, guys. Let's listen, Mr. James. Representative James, finish.
I'm done, Mr. Chairman. I couldn't sit here in good conscience and not make that statement. You know, we take a lot here, and a lot of things don't offend me because I have tough skin. But for you to admit it and sit there and say it is what it is, I think you need to think about that. You need to think about it long and hard. And I hope the people that elected you are listening. And if they aren't, I'm gonna make sure that they heard it. I'm gonna promise you that. I'm gonna make sure, because I'm sure they would be disappointed and offended just like I am. I mean, I'm bubbling right now. I just cannot believe it. And for you want a trophy because you prosecuted one white male on death row for killing a black? You know,
President
that
James.
proved the point. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
I understand.
No, sir. I don't want any trophies for doing my job, but I do my job without regard to race. What you don't know me,
All right,
but I do my job without
we're
regard
not,
to race.
hold up. We're not